Hi, this is Jaya. In today's study of history of English literature, we shall see the social background of Anglo-Saxon period or Old English period. Actually, this period can be divided into 5 stages. The first stage is before 55 BC, where the Celts were living in England. These Celts are a mixture of the Britons and Gaels tribes, and actually it is from this Britons that the island got the name Britain. In fact, they called it as Great Britain because they wanted to differentiate this island from the other two places which had the same name. And in 55 BC to 407 AD, we have this Roman conquest, which we shall see in detail now. And from 407 AD to 787 AD, we have the Anglo-Saxon Invasion. And from 787 AD to 1066 AD, we have the Vikings, that is the Danes invasion. And 1066 AD marks the Norman conquest, which brings the Old English period to an end. Now we shall see in detail. These Celts, that is the mixture of the Britons and the Gaels, they also came from the neighboring countries and settled in England, and they were there till 55 BC. In fact, even after that they were there, but they were constantly attacked by the neighboring countries. Even Romans were attacking them. But in 55 BC, under the leadership of Julius Caesar, when these Romans invaded England, the fertility of the soil made them to stay there. Usually what these Romans will do is, when they go and invade any country and when they conquer them, they will usurp all the riches. That is, they will take away all the riches from that places, and they will also take the young men, women, strong men and beautiful women to work as their slaves and maids. But when they saw the fertility of the soil, even though they had attacked England earlier, this time they decided to settle down there. And this was in fact a blessing to England because these Romans improved the infrastructure of the whole island, and they made roads, they improved their lifestyle, and even in agriculture they brought in many new methods which soon developed England as one of the granaries of Europe. And the military presence of the Romans gave a safety to the Celts also, and many invaders were afraid to attack them because Romans during that time were the major rulers of the country, of the whole world in fact. Not only that, even in the language, we all know that English is a mongrel language, that is, it's a collection of many languages. And because of the Romans' presence in England, Latin had its own influence on the language, and many works which we find or any historical events being recorded were recorded in Latin. Not only in that, religion had a major impact because before Romans could come, the religion which was followed in England was pagan. But this paganism was replaced by Christianity, and many of them got converted into Christians. Now, why did these Romans leave? That is a big question, because the Romans were there from 55 BC to 407 AD. But why did they leave is, there is a group, Germanic invaders called Visigoths. They were very violent invaders. They came to Rome at that time. So the Romans had to safeguard their own place. To safeguard their hometown, they had to leave England and go to their place. And because the Romans left, this gave place for the others to come into England. The first persons, the Germanic group which came to England, were the Jutes. They came from Jutland in Denmark. They crossed the North Sea and they came to England. And following them came the Angles and the Saxons. And together these peoples established 5 kingdoms in England, that is Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Wessex and Kent. These 5 kingdoms were called as Heptarchy. They came here, and because of the migration of the Jutes, Angles and Saxons, the Celts had to migrate to the mountain area and Wales. And though the Jutes came first, the Angles and Saxons started dominating, and in fact the island got the name as Anglo-Saxon land, and later on it became Angleland, and today it is known as England. And these people did not have a very peaceful life because they were attacked by the Viking invaders called Danes. These Danes were very ferocious and very violent attackers, and soon they started dominating the major part of England, and they brought in Danelaw, and this Danelaw has a very good significance in England, because even today this Danelaw survives in England. And this Viking invaders also had to come to an end because of the Battle of Hastings. Hastings is another name for Kent. In fact, when the Jutes came to England, they first settled down in Kent. And in this Battle of Hastings, which happened in 1066 AD, the person called William of Normandy from France, he is also called the William the Conqueror. He came and he conquered England. And the Battle of Hastings has a very important sequence in the history of England. And here William of Normandy, he defeats Harold Godwinson, who is the last Anglo-Saxon king. Harold Godwinson came after King Edward, and thus after Harold Godwinson, the Anglo-Saxon period comes to an end. In this Anglo-Saxon period, there are two major characters which we have to give some importance. One is King Arthur. Now about King Arthur, there are two debates. One debate is, some say that he lived during 5th century and some say he lived in 6th century. While some say that King Arthur is not a real character, but it is a fictional character, or he is a person who was worshipped by Celts, and he was a person who defended Britain against Anglo-Saxon invaders. But there are many medieval histories, legends and folklore based on King Arthur, and it is a writer, Geoffrey of Monmouth, in 1030s. He created a literary persona of Arthur, and there are many books written about him. And the other person is King Alfred the Great. In fact, among all the kings of England, he is the only king who comes with the name the Great. And he was the king of Wessex, and he ruled there from 871 to 899 AD. And why he is called the Alfred the Great means he united all the kingdoms of the southern England, because they had to fight against the Vikings. And as I told you, the Vikings were very ferocious and violent invaders. They all knew that they have to be united to oppose the Vikings. And since he was leading the Britain army against the Vikings, he called himself as the king of the Anglo-Saxons. And he gave new code of conduct, and he encouraged education, art and literature in England. And in fact, he is one of the greatest literary personalities of England. With that war of Norman conquest, the Anglo-Saxon age comes to an end. And we shall see about the literature in England in the next video. Thank you.